Welcome. I'm coming to you live from the middle of the Atlantic. Except we're actually not live at all for you. This will be several weeks later. Hi, welcome and welcome back. For those of you who've been around, you know that we are currently in the middle of moving from just outside of Salt Lake, Utah to France. For those of you who are brand new here, the same facts are true. Yeah, I thought I would do a little check-in from the ship. We'll see how this goes. I don't know if the video or the audio is going to be as good. I'm just doing it off my phone with this little lapel mic, but here I am, crossing the Atlantic. We decided to do our move a little differently than most people. I know most people in the move, there's so many details to take care of. They just want to get from point A to point B, and I don't blame you. But actually, every move of our marriage, we have taken a trip in the middle of it. We love this method of moving. Moving is so stressful. There's so many details. You just get bogged down in the anxiety and the planning and everything like that. And planning a trip in the middle of it always allows us, number one, to meet our stuff. In this case, we're shipping everything on a pallet, so it'll take 10 weeks to get to France. We've always used something like that, and so it allows us to just meet our stuff around the same time we arrive, but it also gives you time to process. If we had left our home for the last time and hopped on an 18-hour flight with 2 young children and ended up in some Airbnb just outside Geneva in January, it'd have been hard. But instead, we left and we were excited. We went straight to New York, the city that we love so much, and my parents joined a few days later. We celebrated New Year's Eve in the city, which was amazing. And then after we enjoyed New York for a few days, we hopped on this boat and completely unplugged. I've done afternoon tea, I've done watercolor classes, taken naps, I've stayed up late, I've eaten way too much. There's been fancy gala evenings and the play zone for the kids, which is amazing. But in any case, it gave us something to look forward to in this transition. We didn't just go straight from the home that we have loved, that we have poured our hearts into for the past 4 years, and into like a cold, gray, nameless, faceless Airbnb. Like, we got to make the experience what we wanted. And I'm so grateful that we've done this. It has been amazing every step of the way. So we were on the Queen Mary 2, which is managed by QM2, a British cruise ship line. It has been so, so nice. Like, definitely the nicest cruising experience. I will definitely be coming back to them. Their staff is fantastic. The play zone is amazing. They clean our room twice a day. They have laundry services on board, like basically full-time childcare. Afternoon tea, like I know I already talked about, but it's a highlight for me. All these amazing classes and lectures and things to do. It's not so much a party scene like a lot of other cruise ships, which as a young family is much more our speed. And it's just, oh, guys, it's just been so nice. But it's also just given us so much time and space to process everything that's happening. This whole trip, the New York part of the trip was like the fun, exciting New York part of the trip. This part of the trip has just been so relaxing to process. I've been reading books and just taking it in. Anyway, this has been an amazing experience. I 10 out of 10 would recommend taking a cruise line, first of all, to move. I've actually met a ton of other people who are doing the same on board, partially because this cruise ship lets you come with your dogs, and I think partially just because a lot of other people also felt like they needed some decompression time. I say all of this not to boast about this amazing trip that we've gone on or that we were lucky enough to have, but to remind you that sometimes when you're going through times of transition, you need to build in those pockets of rest and retreat for yourself. This is a big change our family is going through, and all of the preparation and packing and going through everything we own and deciding what to do with it and saying goodbye to all of our friends on top of Christmas and birthdays and becoming American for some of us. It's so much work that it's really easy to get lost in the details. And having an opportunity to step back and really go away from the details, go away from the paperwork and the distractions, and just be able to process it has been incredibly beneficial to us. I remember when I was getting divorced, one of my friends told me, who had went through her own divorce actually, the only way through it is through it. And I've definitely learned that to be true. When you are going through something big, a big change, a big transition, just experiencing life, which can be big at times, the only way through it is through it. There's no hitting the pause button. But by building in these periods of rest, you give yourself an opportunity to step back and breathe. I think particularly in the modern world, we could just get caught up in the hustle of things and the momentum of life. And so taking these little moments to evaluate, to recharge, this can be a single night where maybe you just turn off your phone and chat with your spouse or journal or whatever. This can be as big as taking a whole cruise ship across the Atlantic, whatever you need for whatever you're going through. I think it's just crucial that we give ourselves that time. If we don't, we end up not processing the emotions of what we're doing and just going through the motions of them. And that doesn't ultimately serve us. It's okay to have two feelings simultaneously that are seemingly incongruent. It's okay to be excited for my future and sad saying goodbye to my past. I can feel both those feelings in one body. Taking a moment to step back from all those things and just processing the goodbyes and the hellos ahead is exactly what our family needed right now. So yes, I would 10 out of 10 recommend going on a transatlantic cruise, even in January, on Cunard. But more than that, I would recommend to anyone who is going through any sort of adjustment or change or revelation in their life to build in the time to think it through, to really process it, to not just let it wash over you, but take that step back so that you can regain the reins in your own life and feel in control of what's happening and not just along for the ride. Make sure that it aligns with your values. If it doesn't, figure out how you can more closely align it with your values, with the things that matter to you. Give it your why so that when the moments come that you do feel the overwhelm, when you do feel the challenge, when you do get worried, you can go back to why you're doing this in the first place, why this matters, why this is important, what about it hits home with you, so you have something to hold on to no matter what happens. Anyway, that is my soapbox for today. I hope that you all are doing exceptionally well as we've headed into 2023. I will again be on and off for the next little bit, but wanted to at least get this one in the books. I don't know when I'll get it up, but by the end of January, hopefully this is coming to you. In any case, I thank you again with your patience while we're figuring all of this out in the transition. I'm glad you're along for the ride. Pretty soon we're going to have our apartment hunting video in Paris, so make sure to subscribe if you aren't already, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. But this process has allowed me to get there. That was a big wave. Let's start this again for the